Hey traders, it's John Fortune here with this week's weekly Forex forecast for the 19th of October to the 23rd of October 2020. As always, we're going to start off by looking at the US dollar index and crude oil before running through a number of markets, looking at the key levels of support and resistance in the process. I'm also going to be highlighting some of the targets we're going to be looking for in this coming week and also for the weeks ahead. So I hope you're having a nice weekend. Let's jump over to the charts and see where the money is this week. As always, we're going to start off by looking at the US dollar index, and we always start off by looking at the dollar index to use it as a guide or as a compass in the dollar pairs. And last week we had a reversal back to the upside, so we had 1 week down, 1 week up in the dollar index, and this is now pretty much just over 10 days out, 10 trading days from the US election. It does look like we may go into a correction between now and the election in the dollar index and also in some of the markets. So although the dollar index is structured to the upside overall, in the sense that it did break above previous resistance and it's now potentially forming an inverse head and shoulders, this is not a particularly bullish setup, and we sit, as you can see with this 1, 2, 3 up here, we sit right in the middle of this potential correction, and therefore we go into next week with a neutral bias on the US dollar index. And what this simply means is when we go through the markets, we're going to be trading these markets on their own merit without a strong bias in the dollar one way or the other. So the next market we're going to look at is crude oil. Now, we started the week last week in this area and we were looking for a pullback towards the 37.54 for bullish setups in this market. We did have a pullback and we started to bounce, but you can see with that reversal once again in the dollar index, markets in general had a very low volatility week, and crude oil really didn't go anywhere. We started the week here and we ended the week here. So very simply put, going into this week, we're hoping for a little bit more volatility so we can get some nice risk reward setups. Any correction once again back towards the 37.54 is going to be viewed as an opportunity to start to look for bullish setups. And if we start to correct and break out to the upside in this market, we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area resistance, the upside and the target set with a 41.96. The next market we're going to look at is euro dollar. Now, we started the week in this area and we were looking for a correction back down towards the 1.1678, and we did correct down towards this key area of broken resistance from the past, looking to turn support at the 1.1678. Since we've had this pullback, this is now a great opportunity to start to look to the upside in this market. What we'd like to see going into next week, if we can start to break to the upside, and if we can break above, let's say, the 1750, this is going to be a great opportunity to start to look for bullish breakouts. And if we get this kind of price action, we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area resistance, the upside and the target set with the 1.1919. So the next market we're going to look at is pound dollar. Now, last week we started the week in this area and we highlighted the fact that we were looking for a pullback last week towards the 1.28950. We did pull back towards this area, and as we've tagged this level now going into next week, this is a great place to start to look for bullish setups in this market. And if we start to break to the upside in this market, we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area resistance, the upside and the target set at the 1.3175. So the next market we're going to look at is US dollar Japanese yen. Now, last week we started the week in this area and we were looking for a pullback towards the 105.390. We did pull back and bounce from this area, and then we came down and broke below it, and we came and retested it on the underside. So broken support, turning resistance. We are currently structured to the upside, so we do favor long positions in this market. So what we saw over here with a break to the downside and a retest, really we would like to see on the other side going into this week. So if we can start to break above the 105.50, this would be a great place. There's likely stop losses just above here as people who sold in place their stop losses here. As they get taken out, if we can see some momentum coming into the markets here, this is going to be a great place on a pullback to start to look for bullish setups in this market. And if we get this kind of price action, we need to reverse back above the 105.390 first. But if broken resistance starts to turn support, this is going to be a great place to look for bullish setups. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area resistance, the upside and the target set at the 106.47. If you want a more conservative target, as always, you can take the previous high up here at the 106.10. So next market we're going to look at is Aussie dollar. Now last week Aussie dollar sold off and we started to break down. This now looks like an A, B, C, and this could actually be the first wave forming. If we can get a pullback in this area, this will start to give us this head and shoulders pattern in this area. So any correction towards the 0.7201 this week is going to be viewed as a great opportunity to start to look for bearish setups. And we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the next key of support to the downside, the target set at the 0.6979. So next market we're going to look at is New Zealand dollar. Now last week we were looking for a pullback towards the 0.6580 and this was pretty much the low of the week, almost at the pip here. We did pull back and test this. This is now a great place going into this week to start to look for bullish setups in this market. And if we start to break to the upside in this market, we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key of resistance, the upside and the target set at the 0.6721. The next market we're going to look at is US dollar Swiss franc. Now last week we started the week in this area and we highlighted in last week's video we were looking for a pullback towards the 0.91580. We did pull back and we tested this key area resistance twice. This is now a great place to start to look for bearish setups in this market. And if we start to break to the downside, we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the next key of support to the downside, the target set at the 0.9054. So next market we're going to look at is US dollar CAD. Now last week we started the week down in this area and we were looking for a pullback towards the 1.33010. We did get a nice pullback last week and this is setting up now to look for bearish setups going into this week. Any break to the downside in this market, we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the next key of support to the downside and the target set at the 1.3051. And last but not least, we have gold. Now, last week we started the week right here, and you can see we highlighted in last week's video this key area resistance of the 1932.87. And this was once again the high of the week, pretty much almost to the pip once it took out this key area resistance. We were looking then for a pullback towards the 1886.29, and we did come back and test this key area of support to the downside again within a few pips. And so very simply put, going into this week, we are focused on bullish setups in this market. We have started to break to the upside already. So any further pullback in this area is going to be viewed as an opportunity to start to look for bullish setups in this market. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area resistance, the upside and the target set at the 1932.87. So that is it from me for this week, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know by liking, sharing and subscribing. A big thank you to everybody who does that on a regular basis, and a big thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel so far. I want to wish you all a great weekend, and I want to wish you all a fantastic trading week next week. The only thing left to say is take care, and don't forget to trade safely.